This is my video. With disabilities in Nigeria is not a crime. To be a person with disabilities in Nigeria is not a crime. Rapists and rape apologists in Nigeria are cancelled. Rapists and rape apologists in Nigeria are cancelled. No sex without consent. No sex without consent. No sex without consent. No sex without consent. By force, we do not beat her right here. The level states that have not domesticated the child boys who respect girls. Raise 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 boys who respect girls. End all forms of violence against girls and women. End all forms of violence against girls and women. End all forms of violence against girls and women. End all forms of violence against girls and women. End all forms of violence against girls and women. We did not know that it would be Uwa on Sunday. We did not know that it would be different. As a matter of urgency, declared a state of emergency against sexual and gender based. Everything that we should have as basic, there's an excuse we don't have it. How today is still today is still happening. How today is to be me tomorrow. Forget 2023. If you say nothing now as a Nigerian politician, forget 2023. If you say nothing now as a Nigerian politician, forget 2023. If you say nothing now as a Nigerian politician, forget 2023. If you say nothing now as a Nigerian politician, forget 2023. So, do we commit that we're going to start monitoring what our politicians are saying about sexual of emergency to be declared as a matter of urgency before the end of next week by the government of Federal Republic of Nigeria? As a matter of urgency, the government should declare a state of emergency so that we give timelines on sexual and gender-based violence, so that we can give timelines and ensure every state is doing the right thing. Thank you. Please, let's focus on this.
Madam, sorry.
Again, tired of the sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria. Children are dying, women are dying. Enough is enough. We are tired. As a matter of urgency, we want the Nigerian politicians, those in elected office, those in appointed office, those that are not yet in any elected or appointed office but identify as politicians, to know that we are watching every step of everything they do and say on sexual and gender-based violence. We have made a firm declaration that anybody that does not endorse the Child Rights Act and Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act has no place in government, and come 2023, we are beginning to galvanize towards that because we are tired. We need to see budgetary allocations for real-time interventions in sexual and gender-based violence. We need to see a deliberate increase in ensuring independence of the police in investigations. We need to ensure that police doesn't need to collect money from survivors, because many of them are children, many of us are indigent, and we cannot afford these things. And you can hear enough is enough. That's a firm commitment. So we are requesting before the end of next week, we want to have in very clear terms a state of emergency declared against sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria, so that we can have timelines and monitor those that haven't implemented the Child Rights Act and Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. When are they going to do so? We need firm commitments. We are tired of the stories. We are tired of the photo ops. We are tired of being used. We are tired of parading us to use the stories of how we were raped and violated, to make people cry, and that is where it ends. No, we want to see real-time things. If it happens to you yourself today, anyway, the people I'm talking, the people in office, they have the money. Realities were not taken into cognizance. When palliatives were being put together, people did not put sanitary pads, but women still menstruate. When palliatives were being put together, contraceptives were not being taken into cognizance. And so people have been raping women. Many women refuse to have sex because it was not protected sex. And turning back women who got pregnant because they're not registered as an so to be a woman what? We want a state of emergency declared so that we can round table with stakeholders and give you a clear ultimatum. We know that by October this year, we should be able to tell timeless. By October this year, all stakeholders by October this year, also we should know where the budget is coming from to handle different things. When a woman has domestic violence issues and she's sent out of her house or she's safety, where does she go to? Many women are being financially abused by the men in their lives. Where do they get money to, get accommodation for themselves and their children? These are pertinent things that need to be discussed. Synchrony between civil society, who is trusted, and government needs to be built. So the time to discuss it is now. Is anything good happening? No. The sex offenders register, names will not find themselves there if we don't improve the systems. So we are strengthening the system by this. Enough is enough, because we don't know who is going to happen to next. Dorothy, I do what I do in the Dorothy Njemanze Foundation to help people not to go through the pains I went through. But we are still seeing these things happening over and over again. Enough is enough.
Thank you.
Gender-based violence to thrive in Nigeria is the real corruption in Nigeria. We are tired, we are tired, we are tired. And we are calling on the government to, as a matter of urgency, declare a state of emergency on sexual and gender-based violence. I don't understand why all states in Nigeria have not domesticated the Child Rights Act. I don't understand why all states in Nigeria have not domesticated the VAP Act. The different bills that are related to curbing sexual violence in the National Assembly, we don't understand what is keeping them there. Up till now, there are no clear-cut budgetary allocations for tackling sexual and gender-based violence, and that is totally wrong. So with that in mind, we are calling on the government to, as a matter of urgency, declare sexual and gender-based violence a state of emergency. Let's call all stakeholders to the round table. Let this killing stop. I mean, the amenities in the cities are not the same in the rural areas. People don't even know the names of these things. We have a lot of hypocrisy. The Abuja raids, which I will continue strongly making reference to, was led and orchestrated by people in government. So what are people doing in government that do not know about human rights? So to be a woman seems to be an increasingly extreme sport in Nigeria, and we don't want it. We just want to be human. We just want to be. We want our sexual choices to be respected. We want our decisions to be ambitious to be respected. We want our inheritance rights to be respected. Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. Who are those that are scared of it? It is these same people who are oppressing and suppressing women, and we are tired. So now we are here to say that anybody who has not said anything definite on sexual and gender-based violence actually has no business in political office. And we are calling for everybody, all human beings in Nigeria, to ensure that those people are out. You can use your recall. You can start recalling your legislators now. Yes, you can. As a group of people, ask them questions. If they are not picking your calls, start pushing for their recall. Now is the time for them to know citizens' power. The number one office in the Federal Republic of Nigeria that is strongest is the office of the citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let us remember that our power doesn't count only during elections. Our power also counts in holding those we elected into power accountable. And now is the time. This is the process. Thank you.
That are driving this protest. We understand the rationale behind this protest. We understand the pains and the frustrations that are driving this protest. First of all, I need you all to understand that before the Inspector General of Police became a police officer, he was once the child of a woman. Before any police officer became a police officer, he was once a member of the society. Put in another words, or put differently, it means that every police officer you see in Nigeria today is either a father, a mother, a daughter, a son, a grandfather, a grandmother, someone's brother, someone's sister, someone's auntie, someone's uncle. The implication is simple, that every one of us have got a sister. We've got a woman in our life. We've got a daughter and we've got a mother. And we will not want any of them to be sexually abused, to be sexually molested or to be raped. Therefore, we are together with you in the quest for a rape-free Nigeria. We are together with you in your desire to enthrone a society that will have a zero tolerance for all forms of sexual abuses on our women. And we will work with you, if you are ready to work with us, in pushing this advocacy even to further extents. There are fundamental issues that we must understand. We must end the conspiracy of silence. That's one of the ways we can actually fight against rape, sexual molestation, and other kinds of sexual assault against our women. The conspiration of silence is driven largely by the fact that majority of rape incidents in our homes, in our churches, in our offices, within the political circle, in our schools are never reported. We have, as police officers, seen mothers who have compounded cases of incest committed against their children by their husbands. We've seen mothers who have compounded cases of incest committed against their children by their sons. Therefore, we must work together to build and embolden a generation of women who will be bold enough to report cases when they happen. It might look like there is a triggering in the numbers or the staggering of the numbers, but it doesn't matter. The first, the starting point towards dealing with rape is ending the conspiracy of silence. The second thing is we must work together to educate our people. As police officers, one of the most frustrating things we've noticed in the past is the fact that a lot of crime scenes involving rape are malhandled. I don't know any of you who have watched a video online of somebody going to the church where Uwa was raped and then pretending to be reporting the case and touching virtually everything in that crime scene. That is not the way to go. We must maintain every crime scene in its purest, uncontaminated, and pristine form. That will help the police to be able to do their investigation and ensure successful prosecution of perverts and of suspects involved in the sexual abuse of our daughters, our sisters, and our mothers. And thirdly, we must end the connivance of relatives to shut down police investigation and to shut down prosecutions. We have seen so many cases where we have tidied up investigations involving rapes, only for the victim's family to turn around, reconcile, and strike a deal with the suspects, and then they come back to the police to say they are no longer interested in the prosecution. And even when we insist on prosecuting, whether they support us or not, they get to the court and they turn around to become hostile witnesses. On our part as law enforcement agents, we must continue to build capacity of our policemen. We must continue to build a generation of police officers who can empathize with our women, who can show tact, who can show understanding, and who can work with victims' family, activists, and other positive-minded citizens to combat rape. I want to reassure you that under the leadership of the current Inspector General of Police, we will work with the country, we will work with the citizens, we will work with the lawmakers, we will work with activists like you, we will work with the other components of the criminal justice system to fight rape and fight it to stand still. I'm ready to take your questions. Thank you.